Now, it's been a while since I've made a Chainsaw Man video. Lately, I've been going crazy with the One Punch Man content, but I couldn't help it. One Punch Man, as of late, has been some heat. It's been absolute flames. But I feel like it's time to talk about some Chainsaw Man. As you can probably tell by the title of this video, I will be talking about why Denji, the protagonist of Chainsaw Man, is not your typical shonen protagonist. And before we get into that, make sure you leave a like on the video because it takes like 0 seconds and helps the video get recommended and, you know, all that algorithm stuff. And without further ado, let's just get into the damn video. Denji as a protagonist, as I was reading Chainsaw Man, really did pique my interest due to how real Denji as a character felt. He didn't really have a big goal to work towards, nor did he have much motivation in the first place. In short, he was just a regular nigga that wanted to eat, have fun, and get a girl. And from this, you would think Chainsaw Man would be a very unappealing and boring story, but it's rather the opposite. It's because Denji is a normal guy is what makes him sort of an enigma when talking about shonen protagonists. Denji's drive and motivation is simply just titties, food, and compared to other regular shonen protagonists like Luffy from One Piece or Asta from Black Clover, or even Naruto Uzumaki from Naruto, all these protagonists have a driving force. They are striving to be either the Wizard King or the Pirate King or whatever king. And to me, that just kind of got boring over time and overall quite repetitive. But in all honesty, I don't blame newer series trying to imitate older series because these older series are almost like what a quote-unquote shonen is supposed to look like or be. However, when series like Chainsaw Man and One Punch Man pop up, that's when I really start to appreciate how different and innovative they are. Even another series like Record of Ragnarok that I just finished reading is another example of a series that just gets straight into the action and gives you what you came for. It doesn't try and act like an incredibly deep manga or a very thought-provoking series because it's just not. And same goes for Chainsaw Man to an extent. Chainsaw Man is not a series that is incredibly thought-provoking. Yes, there are themes and concepts that Chainsaw Man tackles in its own unique way, but in all honesty, we read Chainsaw Man not to expect the next Hunter x Hunter or the next masterpiece. We read Chainsaw Man because it's just a damn fun read. It's full of relatable moments and great action scenes, not to mention the characters are also just amazing. The series is different and most importantly, in my opinion, the behavior and thought process of the main character Denji. Denji has constantly shown us in the series how different he actually is. Some of the choices he makes aren't really something you would see a typical shonen MC do. Denji at some points could be seen as a full-on devil and someone who doesn't always think about the well-being of, for example, the citizens in his series. An example being Denji not saving a man but pretty much always saving females he finds somewhat attractive. Most of what Denji does early on in the series is always in the interest of himself and only himself. Of course, as the series goes on, we see Denji warming up to characters like Power and Aki, viewing them as family. Another thing I find really interesting about Denji is the interesting way in which his character develops. Denji at the start of the series was a boy who was living in poverty and had the simplest goals anyone could have. These goals are pretty much just human rights, but from the looks of it, the world of Chainsaw Man apparently doesn't have human rights. But as I was saying, Denji at the start of Chainsaw Man, for example, just wanted to have 3 square meals a day and pretty much any type of food would do for him. And if you really pay attention during the early stages of Chainsaw Man, we see Denji constantly point out how he's getting 3 meals a day and how he's eating quote-unquote good food, which is, by the way, just noodles and like salads and shit, which is pretty much standard, but to Denji it was like a dream, it was paradise. Now as we progress through the series, Denji doesn't seem to always praise his food anymore, until we get into the chapter Denji literally eating Makima, the woman he's been simping for 90 plus chapters, and finds his meal to only taste alright, which is a complete contrast to the beginning where he found literally every meal to be amazing. And it's kind of ironic because the food that is quite standard and basic he found so amazing at the start of the series, but when he's eating the person he's admired for like 90 plus chapters, it only just tastes alright. Now let's talk about how Denji achieves his goals and the way he reacts when he does so. For example, Denji always wanted to touch some boobs, which Power was willing to grant his grandiose wish after he defeated that bat devil and, saved her cat. Denji, during touching these boobs, didn't really know what to think. He described them as soft, and afterwards he found it pretty underwhelming until he actually realizes to find real pleasure in these kind of things, it has to be with someone that you really love or admire, and Power was more of a best friend / little sisterish figure to Denji, which explains why it was underwhelming from his point of view. Can I really say little sister figure after he literally touched her boot? Anyway, but as I was saying, Denji slowly figuring out these things and evaluating what he wants to do next after learning these things is another reason he really stands out as a protagonist in the shonen genre. Denji is a 16-year-old that actually feels like a real 16-year-old. Well, for the most part, when he's not like fucking fighting devils as a job. For example, Asta from Black Clover at the beginning was 15 and did not, and I repeat, did not feel like a real 15-year-old. He was buff as hell and did like thousands of push-ups and shit a day, which just isn't what a 15-year-old does or even thinks to do. Of course, you may say anime and manga is meant to be an escape, and I understand that, but I feel like it's good to have a balance between both realism and fantasy and whatnot, which Chainsaw Man, in my opinion, does perfectly, and which a lot of shonen fail to do. At the end of the day, it's all down to preference, but I'm sure no one who reads Chainsaw Man can dispute that Denji from the manga Chainsaw Man does not follow your typical shonen main character formula, which is why I'm sure if Chainsaw Man's anime can do really well, it has the potential to rival the current quote-unquote kings of shonen, which is My Hero Academia, Black Clover, Jujutsu Kaisen, and even One Piece. I have made a whole video on the Chainsaw Man anime, so check that video out if you're interested. And that's pretty much all I have for this video. If you liked the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe with notifications turned on and set to all. And apart from that, I will see you in my next video.